It's pretty safe to say that the DCEU is one of the more divisive film series going today. Its detractors hate it with the strength of 1,000 suns, but its fans love it with the strength of 1,000 hugs. Let's just say you're either loving it or you're absolutely hating it. And to be perfectly honest, I consider myself a fan of these movies. Don't get me wrong, I understand that a lot of these movies have very pronounced flaws. I mean, my favorite movie of the series is one of the more divisive superhero movies ever made. And I might have just given away my number one, but even still, this film series is considered by some to be obnoxious and is generally disliked. But I figured with Birds of Prey coming out earlier this year, and Wonder Woman 1984 coming out recently, I figured it was high time for me to sit down and rank every single DCEU movie. And just like my Pixar ranking, these will not be reviews. I have reviewed every DCEU movie leading up to Birds of Prey, and that playlist should be linked in the eye in the right-hand corner, if you're curious. And just like in my Pixar video, I say, you have the right to like what you like. If you dislike a movie that I like like a movie that I dislike, that is completely fine, and that is your right. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. Number 9, Suicide Squad. I quite frankly don't care what anyone says about movies like Justice League or Batman v Superman, because despite all of those movies' problems, they don't hold a candle to the sheer just torture that is David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Or as I so jokingly refer to it as, music video the movie. The color grading is beyond distracting. There's barely a story. Will Smith and Margot Robbie are admittedly trying, but they don't really have all that much to do. And this movie has to contain one of the worst superhero movie villains of all time, in the form of the demonic version of every hula dancing figure that's on every dashboard of every VW bus in existence. I keep hearing rumblings of a David Ayer cut, and all I have to say to that is just, we have gone through so much to just even hear hintings of a Snyder cut. I don't want to see an Ayer cut. As far as I'm concerned, the movie that we all saw was the Ayer cut, and it was god-awful. Number 8, Justice League. I do not enjoy piling on this movie because, quite frankly, people more important than I have said what a disappointment this movie was. And yes, I absolutely agree with everything that is said. This movie's biggest sin is that it feels like it wants to be a Zack Snyder movie and a Joss Whedon movie, but unfortunately it can't make up its mind if it wants to be one or the other, so it tries to be both, and as a result, it ends up becoming a failure. Zack Snyder movies are very dark and brooding. Joss Whedon's movies tend to be more fun and lighthearted. They needed to pick a lane and stick in that lane. They didn't, and what we got was a Frankenstein's monster of a superhero movie. Really, for me, what makes this better than Suicide Squad is that there's at least a semi-cohesive story, a definite good versus a definite bad. And at the end of the day, the good guys get to win. I can't hate any movie that does that. Also, all of the stuff with Batman, Wonder Woman, and yes, Superman, despite his upper lip, is actually pretty good. I no lie get legit chills whenever Superman says the line, "You won't let me live and you will not let me die." If the movie had just been more of like that, it would have gotten a much better reputation. But it didn't, and here we are. I am holding out hope for the Snyder Cut, since it is now a thing and it is coming to HBO Max, so I am keeping my fingers crossed that the Snyder Cut does to Justice League what the Ultimate Edition did for Batman v Superman, but until I see it, Justice League is sitting at the bottom of my ranking. Number 7, Wonder Woman 1984. The most recent movie in the DCEU, and yeah, I found this movie to be profoundly disappointing. The only thing that keeps this from being better than Justice League is the fact that they at least made the effects look marginally better, and the story as a whole was seemingly a little more focused. I said a little because the story in this movie is just all over the place. My biggest problem with the DCEU, this is coming from a fan, is the fact that they try and put everything in every movie. And unless your name is Joe or Anthony Russo, it's just not going to happen for you. I do legitimately love Gal Gadot in this role, and I hope that Wonder Woman 3 is better than what we got with 1984, but this movie needed a lot of rewrites. Number 6, Shazam. Now, there are some who actually legitimately enjoy this movie, and that it's among their favorites of the DCEU, and that is totally fine. I personally think it's one of the more boring entries. It's not Suicide Squad bad, but it's not really top tier either. It feels very, and I hate using this term because it's thrown around like wildfire now, but it feels very basic. It is well made. I did enjoy Zachary Levi. There were definitely some funny moments, and I can't hate any movie with Mark Strong in it, but still, the movie is just kind of there for me. Number 5, Aquaman. This is kind of a reverse of my feelings on Shazam. There are a lot of people that really enjoy Shazam, and I'm not one of them. However, there are some who are not as big of fans as Aquaman, and I am the reverse of that, because this movie is just, it's so much fun to watch. It is very dumb, it is very cliched, but I walked out of there pumping my fist along with my friend. Howdy, Tim, you're probably watching this right now. My one real problem with the movie is that I feel like, as a whole, they wasted the Black Manta character. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II was great in that role, and I feel like his only real contributions were the very beginning and the fight scene in Italy, and that was about it. I hope they bring him back for Aquaman 2 and that he is the main villain, because Yahya Abdul-Mateen II brought life into that character. And this movie gave a lot of credence and necessary context to Jason Momoa as Aquaman. In Justice League, he was just there to deliver all the necessary one-liners. But in here, they actually gave him a lot of juicy material to work with. And turns out, Jason Momoa is very good at what he does. And I anxiously look forward to Aquaman 2 whenever they do announce it. Number 4, Birds of Prey. When I heard this movie was going to be announced, I just said to myself, out of all the characters from the Suicide Squad, they choose to make a movie about Harley Quinn? Really? But I was honestly shocked at how much I enjoyed this movie when I saw it earlier this year. And about 8 months or 9 months in, I can safely say that this was still really good. My only real problem with the movie is the Victor Zsasz character, played by an objectively good actor in Chris Messina, who is so over the top and so kind of misogynistic that it just took me out of the movie. I get why he was there, and I get the message that the movie was trying to say, but it just jumped the shark at times. But that's a small problem in the grand scheme of things, because I did enjoy this movie. I liked the action. I thought Margot Robbie is great in this role. I also really enjoyed all of the other birds. I thought they worked really well with each other. Also, if we could have more of Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the DCEU, that'd be great. Number 3, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, I'm sure that there are some of you who are just going to jump in the comments and say that I'm some kind of Snyder fanboy. Listen to me first. When I first saw this movie, I hated it. I was not a fan of it. I wanted to like it because I'm a big fan of Batman and Superman, and I was open to the idea of Ben Affleck being Batman. But everything around it was just not good. That was in 2016. I didn't watch the movie for 4 years, until I finally sat down and watched the Ultimate Edition for my review of it in honor of my series to review for Birds of Prey. And the Ultimate Edition definitely changed my mind. This movie is still very flawed. I understand that. And we can argue all day long about the necessity of an Ultimate Edition correcting something that should have been done right the first time. However, the Ultimate Edition does fill in a lot of the cracks that the original version left. Is the movie long? Yes. But it provides context for all of the stuff that happened in the theatrical edition. And as a whole, I think the Ultimate Edition did a very admirable job of tying the narrative together into something a lot more coherent than what was released in theaters. And the stuff that the Ultimate Edition fills in provides a lot more heat and context for the eventual Batman v Superman battle. And I think that that was very well done. I wish more than anything that the Ultimate Edition was what we got in theaters, because I don't think it would have been universally loved, but I think it would have been a lot better than what we got. And like I said, I do see why people wouldn't like this movie. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor is one of the worst casting choices of this entire series. There is a lot of other moments that just feel awkward or out of place. I do understand that. However, like I said, the Ultimate Edition does help provide bridges in gaps that previously were there. And I absolutely loved the Batman v Superman battle. I thought that was very well staged and was just a lot of fun. And I will still defend Batman v Superman as an imperfect movie, but still better than a lot of people make it out to be. Number 2, Wonder Woman. When I heard that a Wonder Woman movie was going to be made, I was saying to myself, okay, I hope it's good. And not only was it good, but it was great. When we saw Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman, I think we all collectively said, wow, she was awesome. And that awesomeness was taken from that scene and expanded to feature length. But even if Batman v Superman wasn't a thing, or if this movie was the only one in the DCEU, it would still be really well made and well appreciated. The No Man's Land scene is worth the price of admission by itself. My only real problem with the movie is the ending. I feel like the Ares twist needed more of a build-up than was given. But, again, that's small potatoes in the grand scheme of things, because still, I think this is a very well-made movie. I love Gal Gadot. Chris Pine is always awesome. I love their chemistry, and the chemistry between Chris Pine and his fellow soldiers, the three of them that I can't remember right now. And no matter what I think about Wonder Woman 1984, I can always go back to the first Wonder Woman because it still holds up to this day. And number 1, Man of Steel. Yes, now again, before you keep calling me a Snyder fanboy or something dumb like that, listen to me. I recognize that this is not a perfect movie. I have problems with it. However, when I first saw the movie, I thought it was really good. And then I kept hearing the criticisms, and I didn't go back to it. And then I saw it again. I think it was the first movie I actually saw in 2020, on New Year's night. And I just fell in love with it all over again. It is imperfect. Yes, the color grading can be a little distracting at times. There are definitely more than a fair share of awkward moments between Superman and Lois Lane. Zod goes a little too over the top at times. But this movie contains all of my favorite scenes in the DCEU, just period. The scene in which Superman learns to fly for the first time with the mix of John Williams and Hans Zimmer's incredible scores. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I once heard Man of Steel described as Superman if he were to arrive on Earth in our present time. And in that context, I think the movie captured exactly what our feelings on him would be. This isn't the super cheesy Christopher Reeve swirling back in time to try and fix things. This is a different Superman. And of course, I do recognize that this movie turns a lot of people off, and some outright dislike it. And that is perfectly fine. Some people prefer the 78 version, and that's great. I like that movie as well. But for me, Not only is this my favorite DCEU movie, but I think it is an imperfect masterpiece. Oh boy, I look forward to reading this comment section. But guys, thank you so much as always for watching. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way, when a new video drops, you will be the first to know. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.